telling people over the microphone about Jesus. From the back of the crowd, a man yelled out, told him, "You better shut up or I'm going to cut you." And Ron said, I just didn't feel that I should stop. And he kept on preaching, kept on saying. Sure enough, this man smashed a quart bottle of beer and came with the intention of cutting him. And on the way up, a man saw him coming up and swung and knocked him out. And again, in a small town, word spread, what's happened to Ron? Ron has become a Jesus freak. My parents come in January of 1970. In late February, perhaps early March, he had a revival with this man that I've told you about several times, John Metzler. Very powerful revival. People are getting saved. God's doing a miracle. Ron's uncle had started attending church, and so he left a flyer out for Ron to see it. And on the last couple nights of revival, Ron and Susie came. Get a picture here of the Ron around this time. This is Ron. I think his hair was actually a bit longer when he came to church. But this is how he looked. And unlike the other church that, first of all, hassled you about your hair, my dad welcomed them. Now, I want you to understand this. My dad was nothing like hippies. There's not a single hippie who would come in and like, wow, he's one of us, right? But it didn't matter. My dad welcomed them. Began talking with Ron. Ron was telling about how he was witnessing to people, having Bible studies, and Ron and Susie were very generous, as they often would feed the people that would come to their house. And so after the revival, when it finished, my dad found out where they lived and showed up at their house with a couple of sacks of groceries. Said, this is just to help you when you're witnessing to people. That really made impact on Ron and Susie, and so they started coming to our church. They were the first hippies in our church, the very first ones that we had, and they witnessed to everyone and started inviting them. Numbers of their friends and their family got saved. A few months later, witnessed to Ron's cousin Patty Harris, and Patty got saved. And then a short time later, her husband Jack, he was the one in the car with him, scoring drugs when Ron got saved. Jack and Patty now came in, and my dad also welcomed them, not worrying about what they looked like. He was glad that they got saved. So here's a lesson. I want to stop. This is a lesson for all of us, and that lesson has to do with welcoming those who God brings. Luke 15, 1 and 2. Who has that? There's no scripture? Oh, we don't have it. Scribal error. Then all the tax collectors and sinners drew near to him to hear him. The Pharisees and scribes complained, saying, "This man receives sinners and eats with them." Okay, so sinners are drawn to Jesus and religious people are complaining. You see how things never change? So here's the question. Many of you have been praying for revival. We're praying, God, give us national revival. God, give us revival in our city. God, give us revival in our church. Okay, if God brings people who are nothing like you, if you're praying for revival, are you actually saying, God, please bring people who look like me, think like me, vote like me? What happens if they don't? What happens if they look wild and crazy? What happens if their beliefs, their politics are nothing like yours? Are you going to accept them? Because that's what built our church. Or are you going to reject that? Look at them. Because you can miss. There were churches all across America that missed because they would not welcome people when God gave them. Jack Harris